Hello and welcome to chapter 30 of 1 Samuel. We are close to the end now, only 2 more chapters to go and then this book is done. So let's get right into it. And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the 3rd day that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag and smitten Ziklag and burned it with fire, and it had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's 2 wives were taken captives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. So when David went to Ziklag, he found that the place was ruined. There was just smoke left after the Amalekites had come and just burned the city down, had taken all the women and everyone from there as well. And the men just cried and cried until they had no strength left, which is very sad. You can just imagine the emotion of just all their loved ones just being gone. So the Amalekites, had Saul destroyed the Amalekites like God had instructed him to do, this wouldn't have happened. Just saying, Saul, just saying. Amalekites destroyed the town, burnt it down, took all the people as well and held them captive. Oh dear. And David was greatly distressed, of course, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. So the grief of the army, they turned on David. After that, they blamed him, and they wanted to kill him for this. You can imagine how distressing that is. But David did the absolute right thing, what we should all do when we're feeling like the world is against us and we just don't know what to do. He turned to his Lord, his God. He turned to God for help, as we all should. He knew that God had always been there for him. He's helped him out so many times in so many different circumstances, and he knew that his true strength and protection was in that heavenly realm with God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. Good. So David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, but 200 abode behind, which was so faint they could not go over the brook Besor. So he asked the priest for a divine direction. So David asked the priest with his ephod for divine direction. And David asked the Lord with the ephod. So David asked God. If the raid on the Amalekites would be successful. God said yes. Not only that he would save everyone as well. So God said he he did the right thing, instead of just acting on impulse with your humanly flesh desire for revenge, he double checked and said, God, is this going to work? How shall I do this? As you know, it's a great example of how we should be living as well. And so with that, David and most of his army went, but some were just too tired to do it. And he made the executive decision to just leave those 200 behind to rest. So he left 200 men behind to rest. And they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread, and he did eat, and they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins, and when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water, 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me, because 3 days agone I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. We said to him, Canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, Swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. And David smote them from the twilight, even unto the... Sorry, you can hear my cat. My cat's hungry. From twilight unto the evening of the next day, and there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men, which rode upon camels and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor anything they had taken to them. David recovered all. Hey, as God said he would. And David took all the flocks and the herds which they drave before those other cattle, and said, This is David's spoil. So God had placed this young Egyptian slave right in their path, because he had agreed to take them to the Amalekites. So God just orchestrates things so beautifully. So God placed the Egyptian, that was nice of them to give him food as well, make sure he was okay. Placed the Egyptian in their path in order to lead them to the Amalekites. And because of that, David's army were able to get to the camp at the best possible time, because they were not in an appropriate position to defend themselves, because they were all over the place, eating, drinking, celebrating, not ready for an attack. And so David got them, rescued all the people, everyone, the animals, everything. Brilliant. And David came to the 200 men which were so faint they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Bissel. And they went forth to meet David, and meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial, and those that went with David, and said, Because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save every man to his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart. Yikes. Sassy. So they're not going to share. The spoil is everything they collected, because they didn't come and fight. They're not getting it. Ooh. Then said David, Ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord hath given us, to who hath preserved us, and delivered the company that came against us into our hand. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as it is part that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. And so it was from that day forward that he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day. So these really wicked people were like, no, we're not going to share this, because they didn't want to fight. And David, being the good guy that he was, said, what? Like, how can you be so mean? Like, how can you not share with your brethren? So because of that, he made a law for equal sharing, which is really nice. So David made a law for equal sharing. That makes him a really great king. So the evil people didn't want to share with those who didn't fight. Therefore they were too weak. But David saw that and he made it right. And when David came to Ziklag, he sent of the spoil unto the elders of Judah, even to his friends, saying, behold, a present for you of the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. So he did another great, nice diplomatic move, and he sent gifts to the elders of Judah, his own their own tribe. Gifts to own tribe. That was also really nice. And that helped reaffirm his loyalty to Israel after all this time that he spent in the Philistines. Reaffirm his loyalty to Israel. Because don't forget, he'd been away with the enemy, living with the enemy for a long time, so that was an important gesture. And also the Egyptian mentioned, I don't remember exactly where, but he mentioned that they had taken from Judah here. So they had stolen from Judah as well. So by him giving that gift, he was helping them recover what they had lost. Really, really nice gesture, really important to do. Okay, let's just wrap up this chapter then. To them which were in Bethel, and to them which were in South Ramoth, and to them which were in Jattir, and to them which were in Arah, and to them which were in Sifmoth, and to them which were in Ishitomah, and to them which were in Rachel, and to them which were in the cities of the Jerahmeelites, and to them which were in the cities of Kenites, and to them which were in Hormah, and to them which were in Chorashan, and to them which were in Athach, and to them which were in Hebron, and to all the places where David himself and his men were wont to haunt. So these, apparently, according to my notes here, are all cities within Judah and Simeon. And that helped cement his loyalty to them. Helped cement his loyalty to Judah, which will become important when we see him crowned as king. Alrighty, we are so close to the end. Tune in tomorrow for chapter 21 as we wrap up this book. Have a great day. Bye.